Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel'sIrishPub.com. Time for another movie review. Yes, now I'm kind of excited about this movie. It's called Geostorm. So I have to temper my expectations though, because when I look it up, Rotten Tomatoes 13% from the critics, 41% from the audience or the users. IMDb has it at a 5.5. So the synopsis of the movie is essentially that the government has created these satellites that control the climate and control the weather. And I think something happens that they start creating natural disasters. So maybe somebody hacks them or something like that, and they start controlling the weather, and it gets real bad. And Gerard Butler is there to save the day. So he's the main actor, and Jim Sturgis is in it. Gerard Butler's in numerous movies. If you haven't heard of him, I'm sure you have. Jim Sturgis, maybe a little lesser known to some. No offense there if you already know who he is. Across the Universe, the Beatles movie. And then also 21 he was in. So they're the two main actors. Let's see, is there anybody else in there? Abby Cornish is also in it, among other actors and actresses, and I'll see who they are as we get into it. But I'm going to start watching it here. Hopefully, low expectations. It could be good. Sounds like an interesting plot. So we'll see what it's like. I'll check back in a little bit and let you know how it's going. Alright, see you. Hey everybody, time for a quick check-in. We're watching Geostorm. It's at the 46-minute and 58-second mark. It's everything that it said it was going to be. A little bit further explanation is, evidently there were some weather events that were basically terrorizing the Earth. So like people were dying there, heat waves, killing millions of people, things like that, and therefore 17 nations came together to design something to stop all of the weather that was happening that was causing mass destruction. So they created this thing called the Dutch Boy. And essentially the Dutch Boy just neutralizes the weather. So it kind of controls it. Yeah, it stops it from happening altogether. And Gerard Butler was the lead, the guy who invented it all and supervised the entire building of this big net of satellites that now controls the weather, so that it stops, killing people, essentially. And so now it's starting to malfunction. So, and he's kind of a rogue guy. I'll back up a little bit, and they end up. Jim Sturgis is playing his brother. I thought it was going to be his son, but it's his brother. All right, he goes in front of the council. For whatever reason, they're going to hand it off to somebody else. Well, they give it to his brother to run, so he's now the leader, and he fires Gerard Butler. So it goes 3 years in the future, and 3 years later, this thing starts to malfunction. And of course, now they have to come back to Gerard Butler and have him try and find out what's going on with this thing, because, in I think it was Afghanistan or somewhere like that, it froze, like people in this one section of the country, it froze everybody. So everybody got froze to death right there. But like you walk up and there's like all the sand and it's hot, and you take another step and there's snow and everybody's frozen. So that's part of the issue, is that this Dutch Boy thing is having a problem. So now his brother has to go back, and Jim Sturgis has to go back and get Gerard Butler to go up there and fix it. He has to go up to the satellite thing. So that's where we're at now. He's trying to figure that out. Trying to figure out what has happened. Doing a lot of research. But the interesting point is when he goes to find Gerard Butler. Now, I would think for somebody who's the lead scientist or whatever he was, a lead for all of these nations to create this massive tool to control the weather, right? The guy who builds this whole thing. You would think, at least I would think, that he was rewarded handsomely and live off the fat of the land. But no, he lives in a trailer with his daughter. So it's like a small little trailer, and that's all that he has. So that's odd to me. I mean, I get it, he loses his job, and evidently losing his job, he also lost his family and his dog and things like that. But, I figured he'd be extremely rich. He's not. So that's the only odd thing that I see so far. But it's pretty interesting. I like it. Again, I think it's a decent plot, so I'm not sure why the ratings are so low so far. So we'll get into it a little bit more, and I'll come back and hopefully share more information with you and give you more of my opinion. All right, see you in a bit. Hey everybody, had to credit to Geostorm. And I don't know, again, this is all just my personal opinion. I know the critics and a lot of the other people who viewed this movie didn't like it. They gave it low ratings anyway. I actually enjoyed it. I can understand some of the things that people have problems with this movie. So it's like not scientifically accurate. It's just fun. You know what I mean? They just came out and said, hey, let's create this, this make-believe story. And it turns into like, natural disaster and Armageddon and a spy movie. Or a detective movie kind of thing. So, like I had said in the previous check-ins that they have this machine or this thing that controls our climate. Because natural disasters were happening, the weather was causing all these problems, so they built this thing. Again, I don't know, probably not really possible, but they have this thing that controls it. And then the thing goes bad. So it's like, okay, trying to find out why it goes bad. And there's, is there people who have hacked the system and they're using this weather control system to their own, for their own good? And, there's a whole thing behind that and trying to figure all that out and who's involved if it is happening. And then what measures do you take in order to stop this from happening? And it all takes place in space. Well, I mean, the one character, the brother's up in space and the other brother's down running around with the president and stuff like that. And, there's a lot of flaws and, Jim Sturgis is somehow involved with the president, but like has access to everything immediately. Like nobody really cared where he went. Whatever. And then the weather controlling system. How does that work? And then there's scenes where like they talk about eggs break on the ground. You might have seen it in the previews, and the eggs start to cook. But then the car's tires aren't melting and stuff like that. So there's some flaws. Don't get me wrong. And the way that they had it all set up, and it's like they can get to space and to Earth quicker than you can get from like Philadelphia to the Detroit airport. You know what I mean? Flying there, it's like they send the shuttle up and it's there. You know what I mean? It gets up there, board or whatever, or same vice versa. They're sending these shuttles back down from the space station, and boom, you're there, and everybody's So there's a lot of flaws like that. So it's not scientifically accurate. But if you look past that and just enjoy it for what it is, just a fun movie, they gotta save. It's like Armageddon. They gotta get up there and blow up the asteroid. Not the same thing, but very similar. And gotta save. I thought Armageddon was a fun movie. This one I thought was good. There is some cheesiness as well. So Jim Sturgis is dating one of the Secret Service women, and it's not allowed. But so there's scenes there that I felt were a little cheesy on what they did. As the action's happening. But regardless, I enjoyed it. It was fun. The acting, not the best. Nobody's going to win an Academy Award. But if you want to sit around and watch a fun action movie about natural disasters that is not scientifically correct, who cares? You might enjoy this one. And mystery, a whodunit kind of sense. That's what this movie's all about. Sure, it's trying to use, political stances in it and global warming and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, I thought it was just fun. Just fun just to veg out and watch this thing and not care about it. So if you are interested in that type of movie, this one's for you. If you're more of like, I want it to be realistic, this is not for you. You're not going to like it. Kimmel's Irish Pub, is going to give it a 7. That's what I'm doing. So hopefully this helped you decide if you want to watch this movie or not. And let me know if you do. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. KimmelsIrishPub.com.